So something a bit different today, it's sort of CB related. I've decided to upgrade my RF signal generator. You know, I've got that real big boat anchor up in the man cave with valves in it. Well, I saw this come up on Fleabay. It was £39 and it's spares and repairs, but it's a nice piece of kit. It's modulation on it. You've got your output level, so you can put your S9 signal in it. It's a deviation meter as well. It does AM and FM. It goes from 5 megahertz all the way up to 520 megahertz. So yeah, it looked really good. So anyway, I've brought it. Problem is the display, not all the digits are there, and part of the fine-tune circuit's not working. And this is a Raycall instrument 9081 is the model. And they're prone to having tantalum capacitors that go wrong, hence why I snapped it up, because it could just be as simple as that. It's also got channel spacing. I can set it to 5, 10, 20, 6.25, 12.25, 25, 50, 15, 30 and 60. And then obviously, as I just step up, I can actually go up the CB channels one by one and down the CB channels, depending on what channel spacing I put in. So it's perfect. I just need to get the thing working. So what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to open the unit up. Now, to open this unit up, I couldn't find a lot on YouTube from other people of how to do it. So the first thing you do is there's 6 screws on the top lid and the bottom lid. Now you undo those. Now these two were under labels saying disturbing this label invalidates calibration. Well, whoopee-doo. And then once you've undone the 6 screws top and bottom, you go to the side panel and you undo the 2 screws here on either side. Then this plate, you can tilt it back at the top to get this plate out, push it back in, tilt it out at the bottom to get the bottom plate out. So let me just do that quickly. Right, so all the screws are out. So I think that comes out. Yeah, so what you do is you carefully tilt that back a bit, and you can take this and take that out. And that's your bottom panel off. Then you sort of put this back together and put it in. And then what I've got to do is now flip the radio over and repeat the same thing the other side. Then each of the 2 screws here on the top and bottom there, I put back in to stop this back plate falling off. And then we've got, you know, good coverage of all the parts inside. So let me just flip this over, do the same on the other side, and then we'll have a look and see if we can see any bad tants or anything. So it's all open now, and the first thing that I notice is this back cover's all loose, and it's down to this little bolt here not being fitted correctly. Now just bear with me for a minute. Right, so we get that tightened up so that the cover stays on, and then what we've got inside is we've got this massive plate here. I need to get this off to expose a bit more of the circuitry board, but there's some of these offending tantalums here and down in there. So this is going to be interesting to say the least. I think they had used 1 or 2 screws when building this product. So here's the lid. There's a note on here that says take care not to damage RFI gasket material when removing and replacing this cover. So, and we're in. Wow. The little red blobs that you see are the tantalum capacitors, and they are everywhere. Jesus. So, as you've seen in my previous videos, the first thing that I do when I do a lot of my repairs, and you can do this as well because I'm doing it, is I just use my eyes and I just look. And I usually use my little eye loop, like my little magnifying glass, and I just go round over the board and I just look for damaged components or signs of burning or someone else's rework or anything like that that just points you to something. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. But no, actually it's going to be the second thing. The kettle's just boiled. I'm going to make a cup of tea first, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go over this board just visually for damaged components, and we'll see if I can find anything. And that's all you need for a lot of this fault finding. Just need yourself a little torch. This is an LED one. but you can get those. We've got a shop in the UK called Poundland. I'll just buy them in there. And then I've got a little jeweler's eye loop, which again purchased on Fleabay, and it magnifies up components quite nicely. And that's it. And then all you do is you put your torch on, get your eye loop, just look around on the board, and it's as simple as that. You're just looking for cracks, broken legs, signs of burning, anything like that. And as soon as you see it, you've found a problem area. And that's always my first port of call. Well, I've just taken the top cover off. Using my calibrated nose, I'd say that's 70% tramp's armpits, 20% mouldy socks, yeah, and 10% Stilton cheese. Now, joking aside, what you can see, can you see? Oh, I don't know. Hang on. It is here. There's a component there that I'm touching with the screwdriver. I'm not even sure what that is. And then there's a resistor alongside it. And they're absolutely burnt out. And the thing that drew me to it was the burning mark here and the smell when I took this cover off. So let me put up on the screen now. Here's a close-up picture of what I'm seeing. And as you can see, that is not good. Now, I've got C46 and I can't see what the designation is for that under there, unfortunately. Looks like it could be Q. I'm going to have to find a layout, board layout, see what it is. But that, so C46, that could be a tantalum that's gone up the chute. I'm not sure. I have got the service manual and it has got some parts list in it, so we will have a look and see what we can discover. Well, there's this little board that folds down on here, the 180842 board. So I flipped it over and immediately what caught my eye was the burning on this tant. And when I zoom in with the magnifying glass, there's a big crack in it. So there's tant number 2 that is the problem. So up on the screen now, here's a close-up picture showing you what I'm seeing and what caught my eye. So that's the second one that we need to do. I've also identified that resistor down there is R81. So we need to look at that. So I'll now have a good look round where this tant is and see whether there's anything else burnt out. Because normally there's a resistor that feeds a tantalum. Now I do remember that if the tantalum goes, you must replace the resistor. You can't just replace the tantalum. And as you saw in the previous example, the tant's gone and it's burnt out the resistor. So that's the two components. So I need to find out whether this tantalum, whatever it is connected to a resistor. If it is, I change that as part of what I'm doing. So anyway, let me continue on. So there's no idea. So there's no ID where that tant is. It's just connected across one of these connections. So I'll have to go off of that and see if it's shown on the circuit diagram. But there's like a leg. If you have a look up on the screen now, you can see like a leg sticking out the side of the capacitor. So whether that's blown out or not, I don't know. But it's true what they say. The tantalums in these things do go. The good news is I'm going to be replacing these with electrolytic capacitors because you don't have to reuse tantalums. Otherwise, I'll run the risk of the same thing happening again. So I've been doing some more visual inspection, and obviously I had a display issue. I don't know whether I've resolved it, but what I found is this row of pins down the side here, as you can see from the photo on the screen at the moment, didn't have any solder on them. So whether it had just disappeared or someone had been in there and done some work and forgotten to solder it back again, I don't know. But the tracks coming from what seems to be the display board run round into some of those pins. Then that pin, which has got no solder on it, feeds all of the other segments. So I think it's had a bad joint there. So hopefully by resoldering these now, they should be good. Right, as you can see from the photo, I've removed the offending tantalum and replaced it with a Nichicon electrolytic capacitor. Here's a picture of what I got out. As you can see on the screen at the moment, there's severe burning on the thing. There was a lump of something sticking out the side, so that had definitely gone. But it does seem to be a bit of a pain to get the legs of the devices out of this instrument. They're very well soldered in. Anyway, moving on. What you can see now, I'm pointing to the position of C46 that went across here. It's got the plus side this side, negative side near the edge of the board, and then also R101. I've just had to IPA this area because it was all burnt, and it has taken a bit of the ident off for R101, but that's what it was. Oh, sorry, R81, sorry. I haven't got the resistor at the moment, but I have got an electrolytic to go in place of the tantalum, so I'm quickly going to solder that in. This is the FM loop assembly board here. This is on the base of the unit, and if you've got the front of the unit here, it's this board here. So let me get the electrolytic, which I've got here in the bag. I've already put the other one in on this board here. Actually, or is that the FM loop assembly board? I'm going to have to do a diagram. I'll confirm that anyway. So let me get this electrolytic soldered in here, and then I'm still waiting. Hopefully, it's very early morning now. Hopefully later today I'll get the resistor come through, and then we can put that in place there. So there it is now, all soldered in. So next stage, I've just got to wait for the post for R81 to come, and then we'll put that resistor in there, and then I can fire the thing back up again. And then what I want to do once I fire it back up again is start checking the voltages. Now I have managed to get my hands on a copy of the service manual. This is the power supply circuit that initially supplies out the voltages, and then I've also got an overall block diagram which has got all the voltages around it as well. And I've also got a copy of the FM loop assembly, which is the one that I've had the component go. And there's C46 and C81, sorry, C46 and R81 here on top of the diagram here. So I want to check this board all out to make sure we haven't got any other bits done. So hence why off camera now I'm going to go through and work out what board this is, flip it over and work it out, so I know when I'm looking at the schematics which board I need to be looking at.